Hello and welcome back to Will's World Reviews and More. This is going to be a pay-per-view review on WWE or WWF No Way Out from the year 2000. Originally I was going to do chronological order of pay-per-views, and this is in fact tying in with that because I started with the Rumble of 2000, but I'm not quite sure whether I'm going to continue to do that or not, just because this pay-per-view wasn't really one I was looking forward to, and even though it was good, as we'll get into, it didn't really kind of capture my attention as much as the Rumble, which is my favourite pay-per-view. So in future I may just kind of pick and choose which ones I'm going to do. Obviously I still do the current ones as they happen. But anyway, so this was No Way Out, the first one ever, which became a successful pay-per-view in between the Rumble and WrestleMania for quite a while. There was an episode of Heat beforehand where there were some weird matches. Marsh and Thrasher defeated Essa Rios and Lita, and Ivory and Midian defeated Jacqueline and Funaki. Both strange teams, but hey. But the first proper match was Kurt Angle versus Chris Jericho, who was accompanied by Chyna. Kurt Angle won to become the Euro Continental Champion because Angle was already European Champion and the Intercontinental Champion was Jericho, who put his belt on the line. Angle won after using the belt to knock Jericho out, and yeah, basically spent the rest of the pay-per-view celebrating in different areas of the arena, and in the end, pardon me, just before the last match, Jericho and Chyna jumped him as he was going to his car and put him in the boot of his car. But hey, you know, it was a good match, and it illustrated how both men would go on to have successful careers, really. The next one was Dudley Boyz versus New Age Outlaws. I think it was the final match of the New Age Outlaws of that time. Obviously, they reformed recently and now both work backstage at WWE, I think. But yeah, Billy Gunn legitimately injured his arm with the steel pipe that Bubba Ray hit him with, and you can, if you watch the pay-per-view, I mean, you can hear the sound of it. I mean, I'm not sure what was supposed to happen there, but obviously not to injure Billy Gunn, but I don't know whether it was a real steel pipe or not, but you can actually tell how bad it hurt, and you know, it's a legitimate injury that Billy Gunn suffered, so that ended up breaking apart the tag team because Gunn went out injured for a bit. Road Dogg formed a tag team with X-Pac for a bit, and then Ron Killings, who was R-Truth, okay, quick. And then he was released from his contract. Obviously, they then went on to form Voodoo King Mafia or whatever in TNA, but and then came back to WWE a couple of years ago, both like kind of as producers / legends. So that was a bit of a sad thing that was their last pay-per-view. It was a good match though. Then you had Mark Henry versus Viscera. Some weird storyline going off there about Mark Henry during his sexual chocolate phase where he impregnated Mae Young. Viscera attacked her and all sorts. I mean, very strange match. Didn't really care for that one, I'd say. The next one was really good. Edge and Christian versus the Hardy Boys for number one contenders for the WWF titles, accompanied by Terry Reynolds. I think this match just really was the start of how the tag team division was going to go, with the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian and Dudleys, and Terry Reynolds double crossed the Hardys for some reason. So yeah, but I mean, you could tell early on how all four men would have successful careers, but I think from that stage you could tell, I mean, I'm a big Edge and Christian fan, and I like Edge and Christian equally, but I think it's fair to say Edge was always going to be the top guy of the two, and I think WWE were going to push him from the start, you know, as it even went back to the fact that WWF wanted to sign Edge from independence, and Edge kind of just put in a good word for Christian because they were best friends. But to be fair, Christian is a good wrestler, a great wrestler on his own merit, you know, and I've always liked him. I kind of really got into him when he was in TNA, and I watched it for a brief period, but I've always really liked Christian. But you know, Edge kind of got Christian the contract anyway, and you can tell from this match that Edge was always going to be the most successful, and the same with Hardy Boys, who I was never really fond of, but even watching this match, you can always tell that Jeff was going to be the one to have the most success rather than Matt. The next match, you had Taz versus Big Boss Man, accompanied by Prince Albert for some reason. This was just weird because it was like Big Boss Man and Albert just beat up Taz, and he would never give up, and he'd just keep going until all the officials had to come into the ring and stop him, which I guess was the point, was to show just how tough Taz was. And unfortunately, obviously, his wrestling career didn't really last long in the WWE. He had quite a good career as a commentator after that, but really, it seemed a bit pointless, to be honest. Another good match next was X-Pac versus Kane, no holds barred, because of the relationship that Kane and X-Pac had. They were tag team champions for a bit, they were friends, and then X-Pac double-crossed him just as he thought Kane was going to join DX, and then stole Kane's girlfriend, Tori. But in this match, Kane was accompanied by Paul Bearer, and both him and Tori interfered, but X-Pac eventually picked up the win, and using steel steps to pin Kane, but entertaining nonetheless, and kind of just indicated Kane's persona, how he got on to kind of become more of a face really up until his unmasking, which is when I kind of went off him, to be honest. Next match you had Too Cool, Rikishi, Scotty 2 Hotty, and Grandmaster Sexay. Never really was a big fan of Too Cool, I have to say. Against Radicals, I was a big fan of these. Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko, Perry Saturn, and Eddie Guerrero, who was injured legitimately in the Radicals debut like the week before. But it was a good match, and it really illustrated again the talents of particularly Benoit, and kind of how he would go on to be successful. Then you had the number 1 contender match for the WWE Championship WrestleMania, Big Show versus The Rock. Basically Shane McMahon interfered for unknown reasons at this point, and cost Rock the match. This all started because Big Show could prove that Rock's feet touched the ground first in the Rumble before Big Show was eliminated, and they had quite a good match. It was quite a good brawl, but I'm not a big fan of it really either of those competitors, so like I say, it didn't really keep my attention, but still a good match, and for both of those men to still be kind of active, if you can call that, for The Rock, is testament to their kind of health and athleticism. And then you had the final match, which was Triple H versus Cactus Jack in a WWF Championship versus career match, Hell in a Cell. And this match I did really enjoy. Again, for me, watching it, what it does is it really just reinforces how good Triple H is. Like I said in the last video, no matter what you want to say about him, as a wrestler, as a performer, as a giving all for his job, he really did that. And you can say the same about Mick Foley. I kind of never really got into Mick Foley because, like I said, I didn't really start watching until probably like the summer of 2000. So I missed all of this when I watched it the first time round. And I'm still not a massive fan of his. That's just the way it is. I had one of his books and when I was a kid and never really read it, and I don't know why. No real reason. I don't hate him. I just never really found him as appealing. But you got to give him credit for putting his body on the line, and I'm just not a Mick Foley fan. Maybe I will read his books one day, just because I think there'll be a good insight into the business. But I've always been more of a Triple H guy anyway, so this match kind of really drove that home. And when he put Cactus through the cage and broke the ring, that was a good moment, and the whole match in general was pretty good. But anyway, that's about it, guys. Thanks for watching. That's my thoughts on No Way Out 2000. Like I said, I'm not sure what I'll do next. Not sure which pay-per-view. I might even watch some more Monday Night Wars, so I'll be sure to do a video on them. But for now, keep liking, subscribing and commenting, and I'll see you later. Peace.